a long time, and I'm rapping now. Stay down, got fresh, and I'm smashing now. So lit, super clean, cameras flashing now. Shooting threes like MJ, moonwalk backwards style. Lambo shine like a berry, and you know that it's wild. Ice cold like a freezer, raised cold in the house. Been had bread, grind it harder, stack big loaf amounts. Thumbing through this money, paper cuts when I count. My shit bumping hard, playing through the studio amp. You Apollo, my neck rocky, lighting up like a lamp. Big step of corporate general, I'm the head of my camp. It's Star Child, baby. I done been stressed in these streets. I had to get money to eat. I done been down a long time. I knew I had to get on my grind. Long time, been a long time coming. It's been a long time, been a long time coming. It's been a long time, been a long time coming. It's been a long time, been a long time coming. One son and two baby daughters. Going next door to ask the neighbors for hot water. Remember coming home, wondering what's for supper. Canned goods and crackers to fill our tummies. Mama, I'ma hold it down and stay strong. I'm the man of the house, cadet it gone. Watch me come up, and watch me throw up.
I gotta play my nigga, man.
All this money, I'm finna run up. I done been stressed in these streets. I had to get money to eat. I done been down a long time. I knew I had to get on my grind. Long time, been a long time coming. It's been a long time, been a long time coming. It's been a long time, been a long time coming. It's been a long time, been a long time coming.
How you doing, Mo?
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Already.
Happy Friday. Feel good Friday. Feed your face Friday. And just thank goodness it's Friday. It's been a long week, and we've been, kind of MIA for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we tell people what's going on the last 2 weeks. So 2 weeks ago was your birthday, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you turned up then. And then, of course, as you all know, I'm in Houston. And so last week we've had the storm that hit Houston pretty hard, the winter storm, the snow, the power outage, the water outage, and low food supply. So that was the reason why we didn't do the show last week, because I was trying to, get myself situated, make sure that the power and the water were fully restored where I was living, because I was displaced for a whole week. I was not living at home for an entire week. From that Sunday when the power first went off, Monday morning, the power first went off in my home and didn't come back on, wasn't restored until like Friday night or Friday afternoon. So I apologize to those of you who are looking forward to the show, but life had other plans for us, and Mother Nature did as well. Got hit pretty hard with some unusual weather here in Houston that we clearly were not prepared for as a state as a whole, because we're used to humid, more tropical, warm weather. And so our utility companies, water companies, they weren't prepared, our homes and businesses, for the winter cold temperature here. So everything is normal here, and my water and power have fully been restored. And kids are back in school, and so we have recovered and we're doing well. So we're good over here.
God bless you, Mo. And you know what I'm saying, when you people say prayer changes things, you know what I mean? I know we was praying for you over here on the 44 million ENT side. I mean, all of your followers and listeners and viewers, you know what I'm saying, they send their prayers up as well. You know what I mean? So, God is good. I'm happy you made it through that. You and the young ones, y'all made it through that.
I am too. Very fortunate to have a place to go.
Right.
They never lost power or water where we were staying.
Wow.
So we were very fortunate. Some people had to just withstand and endure those grueling conditions that they were in. And people are they haven't fully recovered. People's houses were flooded because of water pipes that were bursting. Their roofs had caved in because of water damage. It's a horrible situation out here. People are still trying to recover, but I was really, I was touched by the outpour of concern that I received via, Instagram and TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I got messages from people asking how I was doing, concerned about me and the children, if we had power, if we had water, if we were at home, okay. And I was overwhelmed, with generosity and just sharing messages. And I want to thank those of you who did reach out to us and, show concern and care and love and support. So thank you. I appreciate those of you who did that. And we're just very fortunate to still be here, still be in our home and nothing was damaged.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, once you go through stuff like that, I mean, it wasn't a snowstorm. It wasn't a snowstorm or nothing like that. But Katrina in Louisiana was bad. Like that was really bad.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Hardship that created for you and the trauma. That's traumatic.
Yeah. It's life changing.
It's life changing. It's traumatic, and it holds memories for not just the children, but everyone involved.
Yes.
Imagine those memories of your childhood when you get displaced and there's a flood and you can't go home and everything's destroyed and you got to get up and move. Like, that's just insane. It's heartbreaking, but it does change you. It's eye-opening. It makes you appreciate and have gratitude for everything that you have, because it can be taken away in a second, just like that.
Yeah, in a heartbeat. So, I mean, like I say, it's just one of those things to where, I thank God. I have a ton of family out there in Houston. My daughter's actually out there in the Beaumont area. So, I mean, you have to it makes you stop and think and like you say, appreciate life. And me personally, it made me pick up the phone and call my loved ones, you know what I mean, and check on everybody. I mean, once I did the head count, I was like, man, I got a lot of family in Texas, period. Dallas, Houston, all of those surrounding areas, the whole Texas family. You know what I'm saying? Our prayers continuously to go up here at 44 million ENT for all of that whole South region. Texas was hit pretty hard. Louisiana got 5 or 6 inches of snow in my hometown, which is like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like 5 or 6 inches of snow in Louisiana is ridiculous, but it happened. All of those who lost loved ones, our prayers and condolences go out to them. Thank God for all of the firefighters, the electrical company, and we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But the electrical companies and repair guys that came in from other cities, right?
Yes,
and they are still going into Texas right now to help with that, problem or whatever the case may be. So we thank God for people that had their heart in the right place. All right, from beginning to end. So I mean, I think that's a beautiful way to start off today's show, Mo. And when we're talking about views on politics with the battle of the generations, this is probably going to be one of those topics. I told Mo to pack a lunch, but I'm not going to try to hold her too long today.
Yeah, because we know how you are. You can go off on a tangent, and we're going to be here for 4 hours, and I don't have time for 4 hours for you today. I have an appointment at 1 o'clock I got to get to, so we're going to keep our hour time limit and keep it concise and to the point.
I'm going to try.
And get this show on the road.
I'm going to try.
I know you are. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you, brother. I'm here to help.
Yeah, thank God, But yeah, we are. Man, we appreciate y'all tuning in, man. We appreciate y'all patience, man. We appreciate the fact that y'all understand that life did take place with us both. And we back here on track, man. We know we ain't gonna miss a beat. We gonna do what we do. So you know how we do the show over here. Our topic today is Battle of the Generations. This has been a series that we've been on, and our subtopic today is gonna be our views on politics. throughout the generations, right? So
Correct.
we're gonna get this thing kicked off, man, with my sister Mo, and you know how we do it, man. Ladies for always first, Mo. Get it going. What you got?
Okay. All right. So I actually have been doing some research on this and I got a headache. I had to stop last night because I was reading so much. My head was hurting. And I don't know if it was because I was looking at the screen or I was actually what I was reading was like bothering me. Like, I don't really know. But there's a lot of information. I tried to, consolidate as much as I could because, of course, this kind of topic can go on for hours, but we only have an hour time. So let's try to dive right into it. We're going to start off with Generation X, as always. Now, Generation X, to recap, are those born between 1965 and 1980. I got this research from an article called The Atlantic from 1999. It's a little old, but I still think it's relevant to the aspects of the Generation X. So it says that more of the Generation X are democratic than the older generations because we are more diverse. And we aren't as liberal as our generation. Why? Because we're not as diverse. Now, there was a widespread of sampling of surveys that indicate that Xers are less politically engaged, exhibit less confidence in government, have a weaker allegiance to their country, and are more materialistic than our predecessors. Now, I think back at that time, we were probably less politically engaged. But since then, I do believe we are more politically engaged. Maybe not as much as our predecessors were or the Y or X generation. The Y or Z generation, but I do believe we are more politically engaged. Again, this article came from 1999, mind you. The voting rates then were arrestingly low among the post-boomers, which is what we are. And in the 1994 midterm elections, 1 in 5 eligible Xers showed up at the polls. And in 1996, the presidential election year, 32% showed up. Now, again, this is an older article, and I do believe that things have changed and these numbers would drastically increase, is my assumption, because of, who we've had as president the last, 2-3 terms. Let's see. There are many theories as to why Generation X is disengaged. Here are the theories. Number one, at that time, television was holding the blame for the lack of civic education. As we know now, there's a lot more civic education involved, political shows, podcasts, radio stations. There's a lot more talk about politics as opposed to then. Number two, during the Reagan-Bush administrations, when government bashing was the norm, that led to many Gen Xers to internalize a negative attitude towards politics. Like, okay, which ultimately led to the less political engagement. Number three, they blame the breakdown of the traditional family, where those political and civic government conversations are said to develop. That was kind of interesting.
Oh, how they broke that down?
Well, how they blame the breakdown of the family is part of the reason why there's no government sensitivity in the home, because that's where it all starts.
Okay.
In the home, as I was saying. We'll revisit that.
Okay.
Generation Xers have a lot to be grateful for. We enjoy the fruits of the civil rights, women's movement, and environmental conservation movements that were forged by our parents. And we also benefit from the significant leaps and bounds in technology, science, and medicine. So again, like we said in previous podcast shows, we're like that in between. We're like the hybrid generation. And then lastly, when envisioning our future, the Xers see a crippled social structure, a dwindling middle class, and the likely future of the insolvency of Social Security. Which I do believe that is still to be true even today. That pretty much sums it up for me.
Well, uh, you
What are
know,
your thoughts on this?
uh, well, one thing that probably stood out to me is the when you talk about politics in the home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, to me personally, I mean, politics in the home is something that is mandatory. If you're not teaching politics inside of your home, you're raising a generation not to know even what politics are about. You know what I mean? And I think in our generation, we were more of, like you say, the hybrid generation. So I think we caught a little bit of both sides. You got, you know, our parents telling us about the greatness of Dr. King and, Malcolm X and Medgar Evers and all of these great leaders. And our parents told us about them, right? Um, and maybe our parents told us so much about it that as we got older, we really didn't gear our brains towards politics. Because when we viewed politics, we looked at politics as, I guess Malcolm and Martin pretty much was deep as the politics went as we came up. You know what I mean? We all remember in the 80s and 90s. I can't say all remember, but I'm gonna talk about my age a little bit. But I remember in the 80s when as deep as the politics went for me was Nancy Reagan saying "Say no to drugs," right? You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
The whole "Say
I
no
do.
to,"
I remember that campaign. I do.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
it was like that was the deepest conversations that we had about politics back in those days, compared to the generations now where technology, you got YouTube, you got uh, Facebook, you got all kind of social media
Twitter,
platforms,
Instagram.
Instagram, you got everything. And
You have more access.
right. So it's the click of a button now. Versus us, we
Correct.
had to go look in the encyclopedia
Mm-hmm.
and dictionary and thesauruses, and we had to go to the history books and really research this stuff and really find out about former presidents outside of what they taught us in school. Now in school that it's all watered down. You know what I mean?
Of
It's
course.
watered down. Because to me, when you talk about politics, and I look at the political structure from then until now, from the Emancipation Proclamation to this last executive order that Joe Biden put into place, right? Uh, I know Mo don't want me to get on my soapbox about black and brown and this, that, and the third, but you can't talk about politics and you don't talk about the social injustices, the the lies, the misleading information that our own government and our politicians, have given to us over the years. And if you look at the word politic, y'all know I like to play with words, right? If you look at the word politic, you see it says pol, lie, tick, and they call it politic. Look at the word, break it up, pol, lie, tick, right? So every time they tell a person a lie, we tick. They told us 40 acres in the mule, right? Politically, they said 40 acres in the mule. This was part of the Emancipation Proclamation, and that generation, right? You had a working class generation that put the country on their back, got a bill signed, and it never was brought to fruition. Right, that's the Emancipation Proclamation, which we believe that was a document signed for political reasons, and that was to free the slaves in the South. But I've come to find out in my research that was no more than a labor dispute. Right, this the Emancipation Proclamation. This is a document that was signed by Congress. You know what I mean? And it still has not been fulfilled to this day. Right. So you lead up to from then. I'm gonna jump around because I don't want to just go through a whole history lesson on politics. But just think about this: you go from the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, mind you, they killed Abraham Lincoln in the theater. We know the story, right? Then you go up to JFK. I'm skipping around because I know Mo. She get hungry. It don't take her long to get hungry.
Hey.
So moving right along, I'm gonna skip up a little bit, and y'all just check now. You know, some stuff you got to do on your own, people. You know what I mean? And I'm cool with that. But just check.
That's the beauty.
Yeah, check.
That's the beauty of the disputes now. Not the disputes. That's the difference of the generations. Is because when we were growing up, what you saw, what was on television,
Right.
you held that to be true.
Right.
All the negative, all the positive, whatever you saw on television, you held to be true. And they were telling you the truth, is what you assumed.
Right.
But now you can double check, you can verify, you can research, you can look up anything you want to credit its validity. You know, you can very well say, okay, well, let me just make sure this is true. Where did this come from? Why did they say these things? Yeah. You know, that's the beauty of the newer generation. They have that advantage. You know, and that's probably why you were saying about the Reagan and Bush administration, which I mentioned about the theories. It was normal then to government bash. And that's why there was a negative connotation affiliated with the government. Well, and then, of course, they tried to turn it around because, I mean, Reagan did some messed up stuff.
I mean, my thing is this. I mean,
at the time we were kids.
I mean, I look at it like this. You know, Mo, and we had this discussion a lot. You know, when I think about presidents, you know what I'm saying, and there's no disrespect to no president that served our country, but we know this. We say it in the barbershops and the beauty salons and all in the streets. We know that they are puppets.
Yes, they are. We know that.
We know they are hand-picked puppets. We know this, right? So it's like, it's not me concerned about presidents so much. I'm looking at congressmen. I'm looking at people that sit there for 20 to 30 to 40 years, and they haven't done not one single thing to help black and brown people. But then when they come out, now they want to, let me roll up my sleeves, and all that old bullshit that they've been doing for years, for centuries. They've been doing this shit for a long time, man. They've been pissing on us and telling us it's raining, right? So, you know, they puppets to me. Congress is the one that make things move to me, because it's just like now. I'm gonna go.
How you just kind of snuck that in, huh?
Yeah, but you know, I have to, Mo.
Say something.
I have to.
You were saying something, and then I cut you off because I had to interject a little bit. So I want you to go back to that point.
I'm going back. I'm going back to the '60s and JFK and shit. But I'm throwing it in there. You know, I'm throwing it in there. I'm letting people. I'm warming them up. You know what I mean?
They're about to be boiling hot in a minute.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's coming. But I just think about, you know, you go from that to the Emancipation Proclamation, you come up to JFK, right? Now, people think that JFK was assassinated because him and Dr. King had this beautiful friendship. And JFK was just so for black people, right? The cold part about JFK is he was not only against segregation and all, he was against it, but also he was against the Federal Reserve Bank. This is a political thing. This ain't got the only thing federal about that bank is the name federal. It's not federal. That's a private institution. And John F. Kennedy recognized that was a private institution, and that institution was robbing the people. Y'all want politics now.
Okay, keep going. Now, all that to say, JFK
assassinated, right?
Okay, right,
so
assassinated.
You got two presidents. We talking about politics. Two presidents that were assassinated that did something for the people. Were attempting to do something for the people in
Abraham Lincoln and JFK,
and mankind, right?
Okay. Got it.
So, with that being said, now you're looking at a situation where we always bring, it's Black History Month, so I got to talk about it. We always bring in Dr. King when we talk about politics. And this was the whole civil rights movement, the whole segregation laws that were passed and all the other things that happened during the civil rights. I might be leaving some stuff out, but it's a whole lot of stuff that happened in the civil rights movement due to the fact of Dr. King and John Lewis and a lot of people, man. I don't want to leave nobody out. Dr. Clark. I mean, there's a lot of people that helped in the civil rights movement, right? But we always put Dr. King as the forefront as if he was our black president during the civil rights movement, right? So with that being said, another person in politics that was slain by the government, right? So every time there's somebody of truth, somebody of willingness to do good for the people in politics, seems like to me that they always get assassinated.
I agree.
So if you don't go into office as a puppeteer, coming back to that point, if you don't come into office as a puppeteer, they will assassinate you. This is a proven fact. I don't need political fact and none of that shit to tell me what I see. You know what I mean? So
whenever you're trying to better the people and bring a message to the masses and you have an influence on the masses, that's when they try to assassinate you. They're like, okay, we can't let this thought process be the same for everybody. We can't have this one person influence everybody to think this way because they're onto something. This is right. If they collectively think like this, they could overthrow, they could overturn, they could make some change, real change in America. So let's get rid of him. And that's what I thought. It's funny you say that because I thought that when I just watched Malcolm X probably a week ago, right before. No, actually, I watched it during the storm, and I was not at home. I was watching TV because where I was staying had power and cable.
Great movie.
So yeah,
Great
I just
movie.
was thinking that same thing. Like they assassinated him because of what he was trying to do, the change he was trying to bring about.
It's politics, and the thing about it, though, I mean, even now, I'm trying not to touch on now too much, but it's just like even now, and even in Texas, what you just witnessed, the political game that they play with y'all power. Electricity. You got a privately owned energy company that's supplying energy for Texas, and then you're gonna sit up here and say that we pride ourselves in energy, we top of that line of energy. Man, look at here, bro. You don't know when God or HAARP. I want y'all to look up HARP, find out about that. But if God or HARP decides to deal with this weather in a certain type of way, man, your little insulation lines and whatever ain't it's not gonna hold up. It's nothing you can build. This is what killed me with people. There's nothing you can build. If God decides to tear it down, it's coming down.
I agree with you. You're right about that.
It's nothing you can build.
But the political game they played was ridiculous.
No, I'm just saying the political game that they play with people's power. Now, now outside sources couldn't send supplies because they didn't manufacture the same thing that y'all energy thing was. You know what I'm saying? Now y'all got pieces and plugs and stuff. They still got to fix that. You know what I mean?
It's because Texas likes to be independent of everybody else. Texas don't want to be a part of the United States. They never wanted to be, but they are. So they try to operate independently. And that's where the power struggle came in because they are the number one gas and energy company. State. I'm sorry, energy state. Because of that, they operate independently. They don't get supplemental energy from other states like other states do. So when something like this happens, we have a power outage. We can gather energy from other states to help fill in the gap, so we don't have a complete shutdown of power.
But that's
they
what
don't
I'm
do
saying.
that. They don't want to do that. So
that's the game.
Why we are where we are, or why it happened.
That's the game.
Rather.
That's why I say
it is a game.
Yeah, it's and you totally playing with people's lives, man. It's like people died doing this shit. You know what I mean? Like
they died,
bruh.
Hypothermia, carbon monoxide, trying to stay warm from their car because there's no power and heat in their home.
But that's the thing about it.
Seriously,
that's a political game that
didn't need to be played.
That game didn't need to be played ever.
It didn't.
That's
No.
why, I'm glad we're talking about politics today, because I always had this thing, and I know that I'm real about this. This is the divided states of America, right? And it showed its ugly head once again during this devastation in Texas and in the South with this winter storm. It reared its ugly head once again. The divided states of America. Look at this though. I'm so pissed. I was watching TV last night. I ain't gonna say the station and this, that, and the third, but I know y'all all saw this, right? We got people, that are really suffering in this country.
Yes, we do. We do.
And I feel sorry for the guy and him doing his job of walking dogs. I'm gonna leave it like this. I ain't gonna say these people's name, but I was watching TV and a man was shot in the chest. Now listen at me. A man was shot in the chest. He was walking some celebrity. I know who it is. I just ain't gonna say the name, but they was walking the celebrities' dogs, right? And the commentator seemed like they were more concerned about this superstar or entertainer getting their dogs back than they were about a man that's been shot in the chest. The games that these broadcasts play, right? But I promise you, if that was that entertainer that got shot, them dogs you wouldn't even knew the dogs was there.
I'm with you.
But being that, they play these games with these media outlets. Right?
Yes, they do.
So if they play games with something like that is near as dear, that's somebody family member is fighting for their life, and you talking about, well, I'm glad they got the dogs back. Well, are you out your mind? And this somebody that I respect, you know what I'm saying, on TV. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of broke my heart, and it kind of made me look at them a little different. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, even with this game of politics, and now the reason I'm saying this is because media outlets, they play games, these political games, they play games with us. If you don't know that Fox News and CNN is owned by the same people, they playing the same games. They getting us to stay at war with each other in these political games, right? Now, I'm about to touch on it because I'm going to come up to now. I know I ain't got long.
I wasn't even finished. I only touched on Generation X, but go ahead. I got 2 more generations to touch on.
All right. But when you look at it, even right now, right? I don't know if y'all looking at the same situation that I'm looking at, but I got to take my hat off to South Carolina. And people might wonder why I'm saying that, but we talking about politics.
I know why.
I take my hat off to South Carolina, and I take my hat off to them for how they performed in the primaries to get Joe Biden elected, right? Good job, South Carolina.
Georgia, Pennsylvania,
I
Arizona.
get all of that. I get all of that. We ain't even got there yet. We talking
In the general
primaries.
election.
We ain't talking about the election. We talking about the primaries.
Primaries, okay.
He ain't even, without South Carolina, Pennsylvania is irrelevant. Georgia is irrelevant because he wouldn't have made it out of the primary. He wouldn't even been a nominee. So we got to go to the root. See, that's political game. See, we want to jump over the root of the situation.
No,
right?
I'm just trying to stay on topic. That's all.
That's all. We own it. South Carolina.
You back on South Carolina.
Hell yeah. Because I'm gonna take my hat off to South Carolina. South Carolina residents and citizens of South Carolina, you should demand something from this presidential administration. You should demand something, because I'm looking at the industrial genocide that's going on in South Carolina. Probably one of the richest soils in the country where we could grow our fruits and vegetables and things of that nature organically in its truest forms, because you do have a nice tropical seasonings. You know what I'm saying? You go through the seasons properly, right? And when you look at South Carolina, I think Mississippi is the only other state that is in lower economic standings. I hate to say poverty, but lower economic standings. It is poverty, right? So when you're looking at this in a political standpoint, and the South Carolina people showed up and they got Joe Biden in office, and I look at the first 13.
Well, they got him on the ticket. They didn't get him in office. They got him on the ticket.
Hey,
You said the primary. Don't skip over now.
Now what you
And
say?
go back to the general. They didn't get him in office. They got him in the primaries. You have Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia that put him in office. Come on now.
Without South Carolina, you understand what the primaries are, right?
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
So without South Carolina, he doesn't even make the ticket.
That's what I said. Thank you for putting him on the ticket. Okay, so
you got to thank them for putting him in office.
No, on the ticket. Everybody else had to come together as a people to vote. Don't lose sight of that.
I'm not discrediting. I'm not discrediting
South Carolina.
I'm not discrediting Pennsylvania. I'm not discrediting California. I'm not discrediting any of these states, anybody's vote. But I'm telling you, from the root. That's what.
Okay. Thank you, South Carolina. The root of getting him on the ticket.
The root of the matter.
But the final putting him in office had to do with multiple swing states.
Oh yeah, that's the election. We talking about the root.
You said put him in office.
Yes.
That's how he got in office
without being on the ticket. Okay, if he did not make it out the primaries, how was he gonna even be on the ticket to be voted for?
Again, thank you, South Carolina, for putting him on the ticket. That's what I'm saying.
But look at here though. You saying thank you, South Carolina. I'm not trying to just get them a pat on the back. Hell no. They need some change in that perverse ass state. Have you been to South Carolina lately?
I get that. So
perverse. Mississippi.
State that puts somebody on the primary ticket deserves something?
Hell yeah. Just like I told you, Mo, just like I told you yesterday. I believe black folks deserve something on the ticket. For Joe Biden to take his sleepers, but I ain't gonna get on him like that. But for him to take his ass on the Breakfast Club and say, if you don't vote for me, you must not be black. When you make a statement like that, yeah, I want something now. Hell yeah, I want something.
Okay, so what I'm asking you is, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that every Democratic, presidential elect or winner, do they have to go back to all those states who put them on the ticket? Do they deserve something? Does each state deserve something?
Let me ask you something,
Why
Mo.
South Carolina?
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something.
Why now?
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you a serious question right here, Mo.
Why now?
Okay, so why do the special interest groups? Why when the special interest groups, these pharmaceutical companies and all these other major corporations, they paying for these damn politicians, and then why do they get something out the deal? And they just got one vote per person, but they got that money pushing these campaigns. So why do they get stuff out of the deal?
Okay, that's not my concern. What I'm asking you
got to be concerned about that.
Why South Carolina and why now? So why not all the other states? If you feel that way,
hey, look,
let's go back to the beginning of time and focus on those states who, put a particular candidate on the ticket to be voted for president.
Well,
like, you can't just isolate that one state for putting somebody on the ticket without validating all the other states and all the other elections of presidents.
Apparently, Mo, you got to pay attention. Pay attention a little bit, right?
I'm paying attention.
Is California bad off right now? Let me ask you this. Is California bad off right now?
I can't hear you. Say that again.
Hold on. Is California bad off?
Yeah, because they have a new variant of COVID there, a new strain.
Oh, no, hell no. Don't switch and go from, are we talking politics or COVID?
Hey, you switch all the time.
No. Let's
I'm
talk.
trying
Let's
to get
talk
back on
politics.
topic.
Let's
I still
talk
got 2
politics.
more.
Let's talk
I still
politics.
got stuff to read.
Let's talk politics. Is California well off financially, economically,
I would
industrially?
say yes.
Is
I would
New
say pretty
York
much.
okay?
What does that have to do with anything?
I'm leading up to something now. Is they
No,
okay?
I know you are, but you're getting off topic. You're getting way off topic.
I'm asking
We're
you a
getting way
question.
off topic.
No, I stay on topic.
No, we're getting off topic.
No,
If you're going back to these, no,
Now
I'll
we
let you
on
go ahead.
politics.
Go ahead,
You asked me about South Carolina, right?
I said, why South
And
Carolina?
why
Why
should
not?
South
Give me an
Carolina?
answer.
Why should South Carolina benefit from their role in the primaries of getting Joe Biden in office? Is this
No,
not the
I
topic?
asked-
Is this not the question? Right?
I
I'm
asked,
on it.
Why South Carolina?
Is New York
why not
okay?
all the other states?
Is
If you
New
can't
York
give me
okay?
an answer. You're trying to ask a question for a question. Like,
No.
just give me a short answer.
No, I'm gonna make a point with what I'm saying. Is
It's
New
a
York
long
okay?
point.
You got a lot of states over the years since George Washington, right? All the way up into this present day that have been benefiting from presidents. Joe Biden is from Pennsylvania. So I'm in Delaware. So don't think that those people are not going to benefit where Joe Biden is from. Okay? Don't get it twisted. Don't sit up here and think that, okay, now you got to think that South Carolina was a battleground during the Civil War, and they still, since the Civil War, this is still one of the poorest states, but it was a battleground and for the Emancipation Proclamation. Mississippi, same thing. These southern states were battleground states during the Civil War, right? And when they voted and they passed certain laws, see, because you got to think that Mississippi, South Carolina, them 2 states, there's pretty much two of the last 2 that really came into the union, you know what I'm saying, with this whole segregation and all of that stuff to go along with Alabama, right? So when you think about this, Georgia even has prospered before South Carolina and Mississippi, because they have been pushing presidents into office all through the years. New York, California, you got to look at these 2 major states and how many delegates and all this stuff that they carry. All of this is important, Mo. All of it is important. And I feel like South Carolina and what they did this election, don't put them on the back burner, man, and act like they didn't get Joe Biden in office. Let's not do that, because we can't put the cart ahead of the horse. If they didn't put this joker on the ticket, the rest of that is irrelevant. It don't matter. That's a coulda, woulda, shoulda situation then. So that's why I say right now, to this day, South Carolina deserves something from this administration. The state of South Carolina, because they are industrially perverse.
Okay, they're
and this just me and what I'm saying.
What are you gonna do about it?
Huh?
If they deserve all this, what are you gonna do about it?
What am I gonna do about it?
So strongly, yeah. What are you gonna do about it?
Oh, okay.
I'm just asking, since you're so gung ho and you're an advocate for South Carolina, you think
what I do, you know what I'm saying? I give back to the South Carolina community. You know what I'm saying? When I do sports and recreation and I train kids for free that can't afford, you know what I'm saying, those expensive training classes and things of that nature in sports, I do that for free. You know what I'm saying? And I would love to go to South Carolina, man, and start me a travel baseball team in South Carolina. I also work in the school district in South Carolina. So I'm doing what I need to do. You know what I mean? On my end.
Okay.
So that's just me. But I'm just saying, like, I know that without a shadow of a doubt that South Carolina, man, is one of the poorest states here in this country. And that's man, we're in the 21st century. In Mississippi, it goes right along with it. In Louisiana, it's not too far behind it, the way that things are happening in Louisiana right now.
So then maybe there should be something done just for the poorer states to increase their economy, rather than trying to isolate South Carolina.
That's the point that I'm making.
Let's just work on
industrial genocide is exactly what.
You got to get to the mayors, the governors of those states to advocate for them. So let me get back to my job on this political topic and moving on to Generation Y, the millennials. Y'all ready for this? I know they're ready for us to get back to the topic at hand. Okay. So Generation Y are those born between 1981 and 1995. This also came from the Atlantic article. Now, this was written in 2016, well, about 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. So it says that millennials remain the most liberal and democratic of the generation. Okay, maybe there's a lot of them there in South Carolina, the liberal democratic millennials that was helping Joe Biden. I don't know. But they continue to be the most likely to identify with the Democratic Party. Even the leftists are so far left because young people, as we know, always go to the left of everybody else. That's just how generations are and how young people are. There are 3 reasons why people feel that Generation Y leans to the left. Number 1, as I said, they're young. That's just what young people do. They go the opposite way of the general population of older people, right? Number 2, it's the most diverse adult demographic. And number 3, it's comprised of a lot of white men and women who are more liberal than their parents, particularly on social issues like gay rights, immigration, and marijuana. As you light one up. Okay, you sure you're not a millennial? Just kidding. All right. Also, it says that Generation Y is more likely to accept a more government involved and universal health care. More government involvement, and universal health care. Generation Y senses America needs a moral rebirth economically and socially. They are considered revolutionaries. And many feel that they value integrity and authenticity in a presidential candidate more so than political experience, which I kind of like. But you need some political experience as well, so hopefully it's a fine balance. And so the liberal millennial revolution is about policy, feelings, and personality. So, what are your thoughts on Generation Y? You didn't even listen to what I said, did you?
I heard everything you said. I mean,
Okay.
I'm listening to what you're saying, you know. But I mean, to me, when you look at the generations, you know, if we continue to try to overlook the history of what didn't happen, you know what I mean, and and what will transpire, you know, history repeats itself because of lack of knowledge and understanding. And if we don't get an understanding of our political spectrum and how it works and how it operates, we're gonna be passing down some things to some generations after us, and they'll be dumbed down as well. I mean, everything is political when you come to the United States, even when it comes down to you wearing a seatbelt, right? That's political. These younger generations, man, they not gonna go for this too much longer. And you know, they say the revolution will be televised, right? And it's already televised because you already see it in your pockets and things of that nature. So this younger generation, Generation Y, I guess you want to say, I think from a political standpoint, I think this generation they not gonna go for it. I think they're gonna call it like they see it, and our politics could grow in a strong, positive manner due to the fact of technology. And these kids can actually go press a button and get the facts that they need to make the proper political choices. I really do believe that.
Well, I like the fact that they value integrity and authenticity in their candidates, which we were seeing, and the lack thereof in the past president that we just had. So I think it shows, it's evident. If you have a moral compass, some integrity about you, and some authenticity, you can win over the Y generation. And I think that's probably why we have a Joe Biden in office. We don't have another, Trump president, because they feel that that's more valuable. I mean, political experiences as well, but they value that more, to have a moral compass about yourself, to also understand that this is a very diverse group of people and that you identify with their social issues at hand. If you can connect to them on that level, and that's actually the same for Generation Z as well. They're like mirror images almost of the millennials,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how you win them over, is by being more in touch with the issues that are important to them.
Well,
Immigration, marijuana,
yeah,
social issues, having some integrity about yourself,
yeah,
diversity. That's what's important to Generation Y and probably Z as I get it further into that. So they're going to probably, like you said, be revolutionary. They are. That's what they're called, the revolutionary.
well,
As were the baby boomers, the generation. They were revolutionaries as well. They started revolution.
yeah. So that's what I'm
They're
trying to.
responsible for the women's rights movements, the civil rights movements. All of those are responsible
And
for.
in our generation, Generation X, you know what I'm saying? We are those passive aggressive generation.
Correct. Right in the
We
middle.
passive
Right.
aggressive because even when talking about something that we think that may offend a few people, you know what I'm saying? We tuck our ass and we roll over. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think so. I just think we have home training. I think we're a little bit more respectful than some of those younger generations. We were taught that. We were taught to respect our elders
Yeah,
and be mindful of what you say, because it's not what you necessarily say. It's how you say it.
yeah. That's true, and that's true
It's
in
about your
all.
rearing.
That's true in all forms, all facets.
Now,
But
also, mind you, we are the parents of Generation Z. So if we, the parents, are not teaching our children to be respectful and mindful of what you say and how you say it, who is to blame? We're those parents. We're the Xers, are the generational parents of the Zers. You and I both have kids in Z generation.
right. But
I'm
see,
just
that's the
saying.
thing. That's the thing about it, though. It's just like, with me and mine. I mean, it's more so of a look. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the respect level. Of course, we let them talk a little bit more because our
Too.
parents didn't really let us talk like talking about. So when we were coming up, we just wanted to be heard, right? So I think in our raising and upbringing of our children, we just say, well, okay, what you got to say? Let them be heard. Not to say we're gonna agree with them, or go with what they trying to dish out, but just for the mere fact of we were not heard, you know what I'm saying, coming up. And if we were heard, you know what I'm saying, you had, like you say, you had to watch what you say, be mindful of what you say, or you will get smacked. You know what I
We
mean?
give
Point
an
blank,
opinion.
period. You know what I mean? So you get popped upside the head real quick. So with that being said, you know, still this generation, I think, we still passive aggressive. No matter how we want to put sugar on shit and call it a honey bun, we are passive aggressive. Generation
Okay.
X, passive aggressive, because like I say, every time it comes down to these tough issues, right? See, our children don't mind talking about religion and politics. They actually embrace it. Our generation don't like talking about religion and politics. We don't. So that's what I mean by passive aggressive. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to talk about the issues that hit the nail in the wall. We don't want to do
Good thing
that.
you said that. Good
Huh?
thing you said that. Good thing you said that, because it's somewhat true, and it leads me into the segue for Generation Z.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here we go. Generation Z, to follow up on what Ali was talking about how they have a voice and how we're passive aggressive Xers and they're not. This is true for Generation Z, those who were born in 1996 to 2010. I'm a parent of Zers, you're a parent of a Zer. And some of those kids are in middle school right now, as mine is. But the eldest of that generation, they're in college and they're flooding the workforce. So that's leading them, into the political world and things of that such. So that trend is to the left. Their views, as I said before, they mirror those millennials who are the leftists. Generation Z is the most racially and ethnically diverse generation we have seen, as you've stated as well. They don't mind talking about those hard issues. 7 out of 10 Generation Z say the government should do more to solve problems in this country. But only 29% of them say that the government is doing too many things that are better left to individuals and businesses. So they want the government to be involved, but not too involved. Like, just do a little bit and then let me do the rest. It's like a catch-22. They believe 40% of them believe the world is coming a worse place. And Generation Zers have what's called like a love-hate relationship with the government, as I've said before. They want the change. They want the world to change for the better, but they don't trust that the American dream will be a part of their lives and a part of that change. Interesting, right?
I'm with them on that one.
Yeah, I do. I feel it.
What a
but
dream.
If they could see that now, as 12 to 22-year-olds, like that's their perception. It's interesting that they're that young and they see it that way. So they are libertarians, and basically they just want to say, make sure that everyone is taken care of, but don't interfere with my personal life. That's the overall census of Generation Z when it comes to politics. It's love, hate. Yeah, get involved a little bit. Don't get involved that much. Just do a little bit. 75% of them are very concerned about the personal freedom limitations. I think I spoke about that. They don't fear government. They fear government limitations on gun ownership, access to abortion, marriage equality, euthanasia, traditional marriage, and transgender rights. Those are the social issues that are important to them that they feel the government puts limitations on. They're concerned about that. They don't like those limitations. And they basically support nonviolent free speech, even when it's said to be offensive. Like you said, they don't mind offending people. They just want free speech, even if what they're saying is offensive.
Well, I mean, my thing is this. When did this country become so damn sensitive? I can remember for 400 years, they told me something that happened for 400 years where they wasn't so sensitive. But now, this generation, we're looking at them as if they are wrong because they don't want to put sugar on shit and call it a honey bun.
Hold on. Yeah.
Now we want to call them disrespectful. Now we want to call, because they call us out or they call us out on our bull crap as adults. But we want to say, oh, that's disrespectful. If they telling the truth, is it really disrespectful?
No, not to tell the truth.
We got to be mindful of how we are trying to throw this generation under the bus, right? Because I don't think they that disrespectful. I think that the freedom of speech that they are advocating for is long overdue. I think that they should be heard. Because guess what? I'm looking at these politicians, 75, 80 years old, and you trying to make a decision about something 20 years from now, and it might not even be here.
Not might. You will not be here. And you don't understand the mindset of that person who is in their 40s and their 30s.
And how about these babies that's 17, 18 years old that got to go out here into this workforce? 18 for sure, because they can vote. So how about those babies?
Right.
Now that's what runs me hot when I think about politicians. Y'all making decisions for something. Y'all gonna be dead and gone up under the grave, bones in dirt, period. And you trying to make decisions for a future of young people, and you not even listening to what the hell they got to say. That don't make sense.
You're not even young enough to comprehend, understand, or even open to hearing it. You don't even understand what they're talking about. You have no clue
So
what they're talking about.
That's what run me hot with politics the most. I think that you got a lot of these old heads, and I'll say this first here. I advocate for our next congressman or whoever, House of Representatives, whatever you are. I ask that my senators and my, representatives hear me out on this. We don't have a monarchy here in America, so we shouldn't have kings and queens. And to sit on the Supreme Court justice for your until you decide to say you done, I think that is an injustice, and it's morally not right if you say we have a democracy and not a monarchy. Okay, that should be just like any other job, 20 to 25 years and retire. Get some fresh blood in there so we can keep this thing rolling. Because you got Supreme Court justices in there. You staying in there till you die. Come on, man. Come on, bro. I understand that you could come back and be an advisor as long as you want to the new justices, but we got to keep this thing rolling. That should not be a life appointed job in this country unless you the boss and you built it from the ground up. Right? That's the only life appointed jobs that we should have in here, especially when we're dealing with politics, something like as dear, near and dear to us as the Supreme Court. Right? So I'll say that, man, and I don't want to get too
I agree with you there.
About
I
politics.
agree. There should be limits on that, and someone who has the same perspective as the people that they serve, that they're judging, because they're judges,
right?
Have the same similar mindset and understanding of what that person is going through, so you can be a better judge of that situation.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there. So. I want to say that Generation Z, they value harmony and cooperation over idealistic extremes. And to sum it all up in closing, by 2030, that's what, 9 years from now? 9 years from now, there's going to be what's called a generational fourth turning. And that's a shift in power from one generation to the next. The Generation Zs are likely to usher in a unified and peaceful period in politics. That's what's projected.
Well,
by 2030. Now, how they go about doing it, I don't know. But I guess the end result is to be unified and peaceful in politics. Now, that's optimistic, maybe, to some. I don't know. But that's what the article said. And this came from Generational Edge.
Well,
excuse me.
They projections, I mean, they can project all they want to, right?
Correct.
But
I'm just reading the research.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I mean, you did the research. You read what they said. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm commenting on what they said. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Shit.
Let's see. We cannot have a personal opinion.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, now if you got a situation to where, they're projecting some type of thought process for the future, right, and how they might think politically, right? Apparently, they're going to at some point we're going to have to listen to them regardless. So yeah, if their views stay the same now from 12-year-old on up to when they 18, and their views, it's probably gonna get stronger. It's not gonna get weaker. You know what I mean? So
right,
you could have a shift 30 years from now in our politics. You could have a serious shift. You know what I mean? It's not.
I think we will, because they're going to start voting these old people out who have antiquated ways of thinking, because the social issues that are concerns of theirs are not even fathomable to those of that older, much older, silent generation. Their 70s and 80s. These are of their great-grandparents' age. Great-grandparents are not concerned about transgender, social agendas, marriage equality, immigration. Those are not their concerns.
Mm-mm.
It's not. So they're going to be voting those people out They're going to be revolutionizing things, moving forward, and hoping to do it peacefully and on a unified front. But they're gonna make some change. I can definitely see our children making change in the political world, getting out there, getting the word out, because they have the attention of the masses now with their social media as their platform. They can get the word out and messages out bigger and faster than anybody else could ever do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm gonna
You
say this
know,
because my sister, she asked me something. I've been pondering about this. Hey, anybody out there in South Carolina, man? Uh, y'all can look me up, man. Gmail me, man. 44 million ENT, man. Hit me up, Henry Ali, bro. Uh, I'll do, you know, in the spring, I'll hold some baseball camps and some free training for all of those young people out in the South Carolina and North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, all up and down the Eastern Shoreboard. Louisiana is always included. That's my home. And anybody from across the country, man, that could possibly listen to this, I do, look at numbers and things of that nature and see that big shots out to California, Florida, Texas, Georgia, Louisiana, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Man, I appreciate all y'all support. You know what I'm saying? Illinois is in there. Chicago is definitely in there. I appreciate, everybody across the country, man. But, in those surrounding areas, man, I start with South Carolina. You know, uh, anybody that want to donate some baseballs, anything of that nature, batting gloves, cleats, and anything of that nature, I'll be giving these uh, tokens to my young brothers and sisters out in South Carolina, and softballs too. I don't really coach softball, but I could probably get in contact with some softball coaches so I can make this a reality. And then the thing about it is, it's like even in the Texas area, where Mo is located in the Houston area, uh, email me and let me know, and I can, even make it out there to the Texas area too. I'm not trying to make this a South Carolina thing, but I really feel like uh, if we got some change this time and we got Trump up out of there, and I'm assuming that, a lot of people wanted this man up out of there. To me, it really don't matter. They puppets. So this is my outreach, for 2021, 2022, and the years to come. This is what I'll do at 44 million ENT to make sure that I'm always in a giving back situation, So all of y'all who want to donate, or anybody who want to donate to that, because, baseballs are not cheap, gloves are not cheap, bats are not cheap, helmets are not cheap. This
no.
just talking about baseball. So if I do get into basketball ramification, gym rental space, all that type of stuff, it costs money. So, all of those who want to help, it would be greatly appreciated. But that's something that I would vow to and keep my word on, and everybody can, see exactly how I'm giving back in the utmost way. All right.
We appreciate that. Any closing remarks?
Uh Basically, when I think about it, you know what I'm saying. Go ahead, Mo. Go ahead. I want
No,
you.
I was asking
You
you. Do you
good?
have any closing?
You good? You got something you want to close out with?
No, I'm good. I read what I had to read. I'm good. I just was asking you if you had any closing remarks before we end the show, because I know we're over time.
Oh yeah, we
So,
we definitely over a little bit, but hey man,
okay.
I just want to say, I appreciate everybody, man, from the bottom of my heart, man. This has been a real true journey, and I'm still out here in the valley. I'm walking through this valley. I'm not trying to run. I'm not trying to ride a bike or a motorcycle or a car. I'm gonna walk through this valley so I can see everything clearly as I walk. You know, uh, and to my sister, man, I thank God He brought you through. That winter storm like that, cause that could have got
Yeah,
real ugly. You know what I mean? Um, so I
could have.
thank God for
Okay.
that. You know what I'm saying? I thank God for, Tamika, hey, Angel K, man, all of those who hold it down for me, man. Craig, man, I seen him in the chat earlier. Hey, man, everybody, man, I don't want to leave nobody out. But when I think about politics, y'all, I want y'all to remember this. Bullshit ain't nothing but chewed up grass. You hear me? So,
Mm.
recognize game when you see game and understand that you do deserve something for your vote. And if it be reparations, if it be fixing the pothole that you've been tearing up your tire going to work every day.
You do, absolutely.
You deserve something.
You do.
As a registered voter, and you go cast your vote. You deserve something from all these damn politicians. And let's stop saying we don't, we can't, and we ain't. Right? Get that stuff out of our vocabulary. And if we're gonna say and hold Barack Obama in some type of high regard, remember what he said. He said, "Yes, we can." All right. Hey, y'all be good. Hey, I love y'all, man. And I'm gonna leave with what Barack told us. Hell, yes, we can.
We can. I'm gonna go watch and see what President Biden is gonna do here in Houston, because he arrived today. He's here in Houston to talk to the people, give help, give encouragement to the, of course, the situation we just went through. So I'm gonna go check him out, see what's going on there. You guys have a great, wonderful weekend. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next week talking about what? Religion, right? Religion's next week?
Yeah.
Religion's next week. We'll see you next week. Talk about religion. That's good.
Yeah. All right. Hey, check this out, man. I'm gonna leave y'all, man, with a little bit of this Star Child, man. Hey, make sure tomorrow at 4:44 p.m., man, I will be releasing my interview and our first episode of The Basement. Okay? That first interview be with our boy, man, my homeboy, man. Hey, the dude gonna rise to the top, man, like the cream of the crop. You heard what I'm saying? Hey, we're gonna leave y'all with a little bit of this Star Child, man. Long time.
History.
Hey, and y'all be good, man. Don't forget, Black History Month, man. We done had some fun this month. And don't forget that it's just not a month of our Black history, but this is an everyday process that we need to,
365.
365.
Right there, 24/7. See you guys. Bye.
All right, y'all be good out there.
In these streets, I had to get money to eat. I done been down a long time. I knew I had to get on my grind. Long time, been a long time coming. It's been a long time, been a long time coming. It's been a long time, been a long time coming. It's been a long time, been a long time coming. Been a long time, and I'm rapping now. Stay down, got fresh, and I'm smashing now. So lit, super clean, cameras flashing now. Shooting threes like MJ, moonwalk backwards style. Lambo shine like a berry, and you know that it's wild.